This video is a coder's ultimate guide to ChatGPT. ChatGPT isn't just a chatbot, it's a game changer for developers at any skill level. From building programs to debugging and exception handling, we will compare it head-to-head with GitHub Copilot, showing you how it thrives both with and without programming expertise. Plus, we will dive into its built-in code interpreter, complete with live demos and test its capabilities in real coding scenarios. Whether you're a seasoned coder or just starting out, discover how ChatGPT can take your coding expertise to a new high. Ready to decode the possibilities with ChatGPT?
Hello everyone, welcome to the session where we'll be learning regarding ChatGPT for coders. ChatGPT is a booming word nowadays which is very much popular amongst the technical people. It might be used non-technical aspect as well, but in programming, in technological aspect, in computer field, ChatGPT is making its own impact. Now, in this session, what we'll be learning, let's check out the agenda. The first and foremost thing, we'll understand what is AI and what is ChatGPT, right? The major domain ChatGPT is based on is on artificial intelligence. So, we'll have a small glimpse of both of the terminologies. Next, we'll be having the comparison between ChatGPT versus GitHub Copilot. So, what is the major difference between these interfaces? We'll figure out that. Third one, we'll be using ChatGPT with or without programming expertise. How far we can go using this interface for a programmer and a non-programmer aspect. We will learn about that. Next, ChatGPT to build programs. We will take few of the examples, generalized examples in the prompts of ChatGPT interface and try to explore the methods, efficiency of the code and what is the difference and how the ChatGPT will communicate with the user with the aspect of the request which is being raised to the interface. So next, we will learn about a new feature which is adapted into ChatGPT interface, that is code interpreter, which is still in the beta version. But we will see what is code interpreter and what is the role of code interpreter in ChatGPT, which they have included very recently. Next, we will be interpreting a code using ChatGPT and see the difference between ChatGPT 3.5 and ChatGPT 4. Next, we will debug a program which is already having an error and ask the interface what is an error and also ask the same interface to find a right program or correct the error. So debugging activity with the ChatGPT, how does it work? We'll check out that. Next, we will handle exceptions. We will create a wrong program without exceptions and we will ask the interface to provide exception handling or any other better method which is available to resolve the issue, right? Next, we'll be using ChatGPT for testing. So we will try out unit testing and also explore few of the options available. What are the extra uses we can do with the help of ChatGPT? We will explore that as well with respect to code documentation, etc. At last, we will learn the coding limitations, how much limited the ChatGPT interface is, right? These are the topics we'll be covering in this particular session, having a broader knowledge how to use ChatGPT in coding aspect or ChatGPT for coders. Why wait? Let's quickly start with the session. Now, let's see the first topic for the session, that is Introduction to ChatGPT. Before knowing what is ChatGPT, we have to know the major domain, the parent domain of ChatGPT, that is artificial intelligence. We call it as AI in abbreviated form. Artificial intelligence is a simulation which is very much similar to the human intelligence inside a machine, right? Human thinking like in human is not a big deal. It is a God's creation. But what has human created? Human has created the machine think like human. Then artificial intelligence plays a very important role in this aspect, right? Which is always designed to think like a people, act like people, right? So AI involves the development of algorithms, computer programs, any applications to perform typically any task which is provided by the human to the machine, but the only difference is it is not acting like a machine, but it is also giving its own input to the query raised by the user. It is not just doing, okay, A plus B. It is also telling us that you can also perform arithmetic operation, not only addition. So this is an extra information provided by the system or the computer or the machine itself to the user, improvising by thinking on its own, right? This happens in artificial intelligence domain. So it is a major part to make machine think like human being. So what is the example you can just find generally in your phones? It might be a voice application. It might be Siri in Apple, and in Google you have Alexa, which is home automation nowadays. It's very famous. So we have virtual personal assistants, chatbots, many other things which is implemented using this particular artificial intelligence, and it is making the work easier for human beings. So this is the overall picture of artificial intelligence. So next we will talk about ChatGPT, right? OpenAI came up with the model which is oriented towards AI powered language, that is ChatGPT interface. The owner of this, the developer of this is OpenAI. OpenAI is a non-profit AI research organization which is founded with a goal to promote and develop user-friendly and programmers-friendly AI, and also have benefits in the particular coding platform in many other aspects, or help the technical people to improvise themselves with the machine conversation that happens generally with ChatGPT. Right? ChatGPT is based on the GPT, that is generative pre-trained transformer. Right? It is also having many training data inside. With respect to that, it will be giving you the input for whatever the request you have raised. Right? So on this architecture, the ChatGPT is being built, and human-like responses, human-like conversation can be taken up with the help of ChatGPT. I think I need not give lots and lots of introduction about it. By now, it has already boomed a lot, right? So ChatGPT is in use in every aspect, in every domain, in every field nowadays. It's making a student life easy. It is making a professional life easy. It is making an employee life easy. So it depends upon what is the application and where you're using this particular ChatGPT interface, right? So next, we have to understand the major aspect of ChatGPT. Initially, when ChatGPT was released, it was 3.5. It was available, and it is available for everyone for free, having a limited options, limited constraints. But there is one more version, ChatGPT 4, which is a premium version. In order to monetize this particular interface, they released this premium version. It is having various beta features still in development now. So we'll explore all the features with respect to 3.5, with respect to ChatGPT 4, everything in this session. Now, this is the overall picture of artificial intelligence and ChatGPT, right? So let's check out the next topic for this particular session. How do we go ahead with ChatGPT for coders? Before going to the next topic, that in-depth into ChatGPT or ChatGPT 3.5 or 4, we have to understand a competitor comparison for ChatGPT, which is nothing but GitHub Copilot, right? Even GitHub Copilot will act as ChatGPT only, but let's check out what are the major differences between these. The first thing, for those who are starting out to learn to interact with GPTs, right? It is suggested to use in free mode, right? That option is available in ChatGPT only. Even though you have trial version of GitHub, end of the day, you have to pay for the premium version. So generally, a person who is well-versed, who is oriented towards coding, technology, and other professional aspects, they can go towards GitHub Copilot, right? So for free, you can use ChatGPT 3.5. Yet again, you have 4, where if you want to improvise your particular usage, or there is lots of applications to be done in the interface, you can go ahead for the premium version also. But for student aspect, it is very easy to access ChatGPT 3.5, which is free, and also it generates code for you with the explanation as well. You can communicate, ask doubts to the ChatGPT itself. Just you ask doubts as your teacher or anyone who is teaching you. You can just ask your doubts to GPT itself, right? It's a virtual teacher for students if you want to apply ChatGPT's application. Second point, ChatGPT can help develop code and follow up on if the particular code is given by the ChatGPT back to us. If we want to ask any improvisation on that, you can ask about it. But one thing, if you close the particular session, it is very difficult to get it back, or sometimes it is lost, right? So that is the problem of ChatGPT. But GitHub Copilot is based on the machine learning, so it is having the continuous learning and enhancing the suggestions over time, right? It is not restricted compared to ChatGPT. So as I told, ChatGPT 3.5 is totally free to use and making fantastic option for the users to get started, right? And although if it provides 60-day trial in GitHub Copilot, you have to pay after 60 days. But ChatGPT 3.5 is not having the restriction on a trial period or something. The whole complete interface is free to use anytime, right? So you have to opt for the paid version or paid subscription for GitHub Copilot after 60 days of trial. That's the rule, right? Just like other software systems. So this is all about the comparison between the ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot. Now, let's check out how do we use ChatGPT with respect to two things. The first one with programming expertise, the second one without programming expertise. So let's check out what is the major difference and what is the cons and pros. So using ChatGPT with programming expertise, we can incorporate ChatGPT with our own programs or services by using OpenAI API. So we can do that if you have a good amount knowledge of what is going on in this particular ChatGPT, how it is built, what is the backend and other LLM ideas, right? Large language model ideas. You can just change the things. You can make it more creative, more intelligent chatbot or automated customer service system or any other language-based solutions you can create if you have programming expertise and you are using ChatGPT. With programming knowledge, the underlying GPT model can improve to be more domain-specific on particular datasets, right? So ChatGPT can be used to help with having the code snippets, creating the documentation, or come up with programming problem-solving solutions or ideas. So all these aspects can be covered with the help of ChatGPT, and you can make use if you are a programmer. We may influence ChatGPT's behavior and make sure it compiles with our requirements, generally by being aware of the underlying architecture or APIs. If you are a programmer having a technical knowledge, you know how ChatGPT is built, you know how the architecture is, you can modify it accordingly and make it as the machine will think like you think, right? So these are the options you have if you are a programmer and if you want to use the ChatGPT. So next you have, without programming expertise, how do you use ChatGPT and what all you can do? We can communicate with ChatGPT normally with day-to-day words which we use. Generally, we ask questions to our teachers in day-to-day classes, right? The same particular way you can converse, you can ask questions to ChatGPT. It will give you the relevant answers. You can get tips, you can get suggestions, you can obtain creative writing, recommendations, and discuss many ideas, brainstorm with the GPT, right? So although GPT is a strong language model that can provide responses that resemble for those like you're talking to a person or any other human being, it might not be able to comprehend sophisticated programming related questions, right? So it's not that you can use it to one extent, but you cannot give the complete use case what's happening and you cannot ask the solution from the ChatGPT. It doesn't happen. End of the day, human brain is human brain and a machine made is a machine made, right? So you have to implement your idea in order to particularly find a solution for your problem. If you want to enhance, if you want some tips and tricks, you can use ChatGPT. Completely depending on ChatGPT, I don't recommend personally. So it is not a good idea also. You can take it as a support. You can take it as a learning aspect, and you can learn, you can take tips and tricks and implement that in your day-to-day solution, problem-solving sessions. But you cannot completely depend upon ChatGPT. So we won't be able to expand ChatGPT's functionalities. It's very much restricted. They will provide few of the options. You have to use only that option. You cannot just go do change or something. Just if you have a programming language, if you have that particular API knowledge or programming the GPT or architecture or the API according to you, that is a different case. But you don't have idea much. You only know to use the end product without the programming knowledge. Then it would be difficult. It will be very much ready-made item to be used for you, right? So this is the overall picture of using ChatGPT with expertise of programming and without expertise of programming. Now, let's use ChatGPT to build programs. So let's see what are the prompts we are going to execute on the interface first. The first task we'll be going to do is we'll create a program to build BMI calculator. And we'll also enhance and find the efficiency of that particular program and different methods how we can execute this program. This applies to all the programs which I'll execute. One thing, I'll give you the multiple options with the ChatGPT how to resolve one particular problem with different logics. And next, I'll be also asking the ChatGPT what is the efficiency of the previous method and the method we are executing now, and how it is going, how it is making the particular code efficient, right? So this will apply for all the three tasks. The second task, what we will do is we will create a program to display powers of 2 using anonymous function. As a third task, we will check if 2 strings are anagram, right? So we will find out how the ChatGPT will converse with us for the prompts which we give, right? So let's quickly switch to the ChatGPT interface now. So this is the ChatGPT interface. You have 2 options. If you are a premium subscriber, you can toggle between GPT 3.5 and GPT 4, right? You can just go to this version, or you want preferably using 3.5. Generally, people don't invest on the premium until unless it's very much necessary for them. So what do? I'll give the comparison between the 2 interfaces, but I'll be working most of all in ChatGPT 3.5 to cater the broader audiences, right? Now, let's execute the first task which we listed, that is write a program to find or calculate BMI, right? So I'll give enter, and let's see, it is giving us directly a program in Python programming language. How do you calculate body mass index, that is BMI, right? So this is how the program look like, and it will give you in the comments what it is doing, what is this particular function for, what it is applying, how it is calculating, what is the formula, and how it is converting, how it is interpreting the corresponding messages in the different categories, whether if your BMI is less than 18.5, you're underweight, and if you're having certain middle range, it is normal weight, and it is crossing 25, it is overweight, and above that 30, it's supposed to be obese. So all this calculation interpretation is done, and it is giving us the output, right? So the major thing here is it is giving you the program as and when you ask without having any other delay. It is giving you the answer in seconds, right? So what you have to do to execute, you have to copy paste into a Python interpreter or online Python executor, and you can compile and run the particular program, right? So next I will ask what is the efficiency of the code above, right? It just normally how you talk, you can talk to the system. So it will give efficiency is calculated with so and so, time complexity is big O of 1, and you're having overall structure and explanation is given what is the efficiency of this particular code which is put up above. So it is telling it is having the time complexity of big O notated 1, right? So big O 1 is the time complexity, and which is okay. It is not having a bad time complexity. It is having a very good time complexity, right? So this is the overall structure. It is giving you the explanation for the same. Now let's check the next method. What is the option it can provide in order to solve this particular program, right? So any other method to calculate BMI. You can just give this also and check what the answer is generated. Certainly, there is another common method in order to solve this particular problem statement in Python. So it is giving a shorter code. If you could see, if you just compare in a layman perspective, this is a larger code and it is a shorter code. Again, what is the efficiency of this code? If I ask the same question, the method is different now. So let me ask the same question. It says, yes, the time complexity is big O of 1. Again, it is a good performance consideration, and this is the overall report for the one single question which is being provided by the ChatGPT. So I will give the third option. Any other method we can implement to calculate BMI. So this is my last query. Yes, certainly there is one more approach which involves weights in kilograms and heights and centimeters. So it is giving us the variations between, I think in the previous one it was considering the weight, height. Again, it is giving you a variety of solution. If you compare both of it, you might not find much difference between these two, or it might be the same program as well. After one point of time, if there is no solution, no other logic applicable in any other way, it will stop generating and it will start giving you the particular program repeatedly. So that is when you understand there is end for it, right? Because in 3.5, you have only the data up to 2021. Right? So it is not real time, or it is not learning with the help of machine learning method. With the help of users communication, it is not learning much. So whatever the data has been trained, it is giving you the output, right? So this is how you communicate. You can use this ChatGPT to build a program. This is the first task which we have completed. Now let's check out a next program to write a program in Python and display powers of 2 using anonymous function. Let me enter this and let's check how does this look, right? So it is giving you enter the limit of powers, and it will calculate using the anonymous function. The powers is calculated and it is displayed, right? It is giving you explanation what is happening in the code as well. So let's quickly check out what is the efficiency. So what is the efficiency? If you ask, it will give you time complexity, the complete details, space complexity, and it is going with respect to the generalized answer. So let me again remodify this question. I'll copy and paste the same efficiency of above code, right? So let's see. I apologize for any confusion, but I must correct my previous response. So it is apologizing for us that it did not understand our question properly. So now it is giving us this particular explanation with respect to time complexity and space complexity, right? So this is how ChatGPT will interact. So next, let's check out any other method to solve the above query. So I'm giving with the spelling mistake also, but still it can rectify what I'm talking about. What is the recent question which I give the ChatGPT? That is powers of 2 calculation, right? So again, it is giving us a different logic here, right? You can do this to and fro, right? You can just have a lot of conversation with the GPT and create the programs which you require as per the logic you want. And if you want a shorter code, if you want a lengthier code, if you want an efficient code, depends upon the input you give, and the ChatGPT will give you the output accordingly, right? So let's execute the third task. Let's have a program executed. Let's build a final one. Now, let's try out the last one. Write a program to check if 2 strings are anagram. So let's learn how this particular answer is provided, right? So it will first give you the function to check if 2 strings are anagram, and it will give the length. It will check the length, and it will give the frequency of the characters of the both particular strings which are given. All character frequency should be 0 for anagrams. So it will take the input from the user. It will check whether it is an anagram or not. It will give you the output. So this is the basic program which has been created, and it will give the explanation how it is moving as well, right? So let me take that particular question. What is the efficiency of the above code? So if you ask this, it will give you the time complexity, and sometimes it will be giving you the space complexity as well. So for now, it is giving us the comparison of the time complexity and how it is producing the output, how efficient it is, how efficient it can be if you improvise your code, if you cut short your code, if you make it much more optimized, right? So any other method do we have? So let's have this question. When you ask this question, it will say, yes, we have another method to solve the particular problem of anagram. So this is the output for the same, right? So this completes the overall picture of how do you build programs using ChatGPT, right? So this is the output for you, and this is how you converse between the GPT and from the real world, right? Now let's see code interpreter in ChatGPT. So what is this code interpreter? It is a feature which is still in beta version applied in ChatGPT version 4, right? So first let's understand what is code interpreter in ChatGPT. So the most recent addition by OpenAI to ChatGPT, particularly as I told you for ChatGPT model 4, it is code interpreter, which enables to execute the Python code in real working environment, and it will also have certain essential functions sandboxed in Python environment wherein Python code can be run and for any other purpose you can use, right? It seems like it is only used for the particular programmers or oriented towards technological aspects, building an application or something, but code interpreter helps students also and learners also. It can assist in regular basic for variety of tasks as well, right? So this is the code interpreter in ChatGPT. Now let's see how do we interpret code using ChatGPT, right? So before doing that, we'll have to compare 2 different aspects, as I told you, that is 3.5 and 4 model of ChatGPT. So ChatGPT 3.5 is uni model. The ChatGPT or the chatbot, which is version 3.5, only understands and interprets the text input. It will interpret the text input only. It is a uni model. But ChatGPT 4 can now understand and process even images. It accepts to both text and image prompts. Hence, it is multi-modal, right? So the first comparison is unimodal 3.5 and multimodal 4, right? ChatGPT 3.5 was failing to understand the nuances when it comes to natural human language. If you remember, while I was executing, I asked what is the efficiency and it gave the generalized answer. Efficiency is nothing but time complexity and space complexity. But once I changed the prompt, what is the efficiency of the above code, it suggested, it gave me the answer. I apologize that I understood your prompt wrong, and this is the answer for your particular question. So it is trying to be much humane compared to, it is not being a machine like you, it will just process what you ask and it will throw back the output. It is not doing that. It is trying to understand what is the aspect, what is the human being trying to tell me, right? So that is how it is interacting. In GPT-4, we can produce improvised poems, you can write essays. It is much more creative and it is having coherence compared to 3.5. Right? Coming up to the third point, ChatGPT 3.5 has no code interpreter option, right? In code interpretation is not there. It is just giving you certain comments in the code and giving the explanation for the code. If you ask, it will give the code documentation. That's it. It is not having the interpreter, right? ChatGPT 4 has code interpreter, which is in beta version only. That feature is available. Let's see when we go to the interface. ChatGPT 3.5 does not allow file upload or output download. So, uploading and downloading is not present in ChatGPT 3.5. But in 4, we have the uploading of code file option, also downloading the output option, right? So, these are the differences between the ChatGPT itself, between the different versions or models, that is 3.5 and 4. Let's see what is the task we can perform with respect to interpret the code in 3.5 and how do you interpret the particular code in 4 as well. So first I'll cover the theoretical aspect and let's then jump into the interface and check out the same thing, right? For the better quality and clarity. So first task is to have a program which is adding 2 numbers, right? Obviously, it is having a addition operator and 2 different operands, adding 2 plus 3 or 5 plus 6, depends, right? We are doing a normal addition. Task number 2, we modify the existing code and ask for extra features, anything we can add to that particular code. I am thinking that we can do an arithmetic operation only, set of arithmetic operation, that is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Let's see what does ChatGPT will suggest us to improvise our code, right? So let's converse with the ChatGPT 3.5. Then how do you execute in 4.0 the same thing? You have to do certain settings which I'll be showing. Then let's upload the code file and we'll try to modify the existing code and ask for the new feature in that itself. Also, we will try to download the modified code, right? So we'll be doing all these exercises now in the ChatGPT interface. Now, let's check out how do you add 2 numbers by using ChatGPT 3.5 without having the interpreter option on. So how do you check? Let's see where the interpreter is available. You have to go to the settings. It says settings in beta. It will say features. If you see, code interpreter is off for 3.5. You can switch on this and you can start working with the program and the prompt. So, write a program to add 2 numbers. So, I am just trying to execute. It is writing a program very quickly. Any other features can we add to this program? So, I'm asking question. It's only addition. So, what all can we add? So, it is suggesting certainly you can enhance the program by adding some additional features like input validation, error handling and option to continue adding more numbers, etc. Right? So, this is one of the option given. Can we add other arithmetic operators to addition of 2 numbers? If so, kindly provide the program. So, I'm just asking like we ask others. So, it is giving you the complete arithmetic operation program here, right? So, what it says, of course, you can modify the program and handle other arithmetic operators as well, like subtraction, multiplication, and division, right? So, updated version, updated program is also given. So, how do you download this? So, you cannot download. So, let's ask how to execute this code in ChatGPT. Let's explore. Let's ask question. How does it work? So it is telling install a Python interface and then create a Python file and then run this. So follow the instruction. It is giving you how to execute also. If you are having any issues, you can download the Python software and you can start running your program by copying it to a Python file, right? So what is the interpretation? So, what is the interpretation of the code above? Let's see that. So, it is giving you interpretation of the code completely. Function definitions are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. You are having input validation. So, like this. If you switch off this interpreter, let's see. Can we get the interpretation of the code above? Still, it will give the interpretation as well, right? So, if you ask the query, it executes the prompt actually. So, if you switch on or switch off, but if you ask the interpretation, it will give you, or else by default, it will give you the code, right? So, now it's our turn to check out how does the ChatGPT 4 will work. So, I'll take a new chat here. I'll switch to ChatGPT 4 and there is an option which is in default and plugins are getting sorted. So, there are different plugins you can enable, right? You have various plugins there. So, it is having plugin store, like it is giving about plugin ideas. So, you have so many plugins, CodePad, or it is having, I'm just installing CodePad just like that, and you can install. It's very easy. Click on this, it will install and you can select between it, right? So, it is having ask the code, it is having ask your PDF, and it is having various kinds of plugins available already. Prompt Perfect, Show Me Diagrams, so Smart Slides, so Wikipedia, everything you can just inculcate with the help of the plugin. So, here there's an option to choose. If you have multiple plugins, you can switch between with the help of this particular option. So, I'm just giving a interface overview here before starting, right? Again, let's see settings. We'll go to beta features. Interpreter is off. So, let me switch on the interpreter. Try a version of ChatGPT that knows how to write and execute Python code and can work with file uploads also. So, let's see the major difference now. I didn't talk about the difference in 3.5. I just executed and I just showed you the different particular options available. So, if you switch on the code interpreter, it did not change anything in the 3.5. If you go to 3.5, it will not give you any option if you on the interpreter or if you don't on the interpreter, right? Why was that particular thing happening? Because I'm working in the premium version. This particular settings for beta features was applicable only for 4, right? If you log into a general ChatGPT 3.5, which you're not having premium version, this particular settings and this beta feature will not be available for you, right? So that is why when you executed the previous code in 3.5, there was no change. If you select interpreter, if you switch off, if you switch on, there is no change. It was implying only for GPT-4, not for 3.5, right? Hope this is clear now, right? The confusion is sorted. So now let's talk about GPT-4. GPT-4 had code interpreter in the beta version. So I am selecting that code interpreter. If you switch off, let's check out once again to be double sure. If you switch off and if you go back to ChatGPT 4, you could see only plugin and default, right? So that's the major difference. So quickly, I'll switch on the interpreter. I'll go select the code interpreter. And if you see the change, you have a addition option here, upload option. right? We say plus symbol or addition option. Upload file can be done here. So I am selecting a code which is already existing. I'm uploading the code, that is a Python file, to ChatGPT 4, right? So with the help of code interpreter option. So I'm sending this code file to ChatGPT 4. It will give the overall picture what is happening inside the code file. It looks like you have uploaded the Jupyter notebook file. So it says interpreter example underscore dot IPYNB. And how can I assist with this particular code you have uploaded? So please provide the output. So when you ask, kindly provide the output, it will work on that particular code file and it will try to fetch the output or it will not. Let's see. Finished working, it appears the notebook contains only code cell. So let's execute the cell to display. Shall we proceed? It is asking. So I am just giving yes to that, right? When you give yes to that, let's see, it is working, it is finished work, and the code cell in the notebook, yes, the program which I had already given two different numbers, that is 1.5 and 6.3. It has added and it is giving you the output for that. Is there anything else I want to do with this particular notebook? So what do I do? Please add extra features. Enhance the code file and display the code. So let me see. How does this extra feature is added? Certainly, however, I need some guidance. So what all I should do? It is asking us only. So please add arithmetic operators with addition. So I'm just giving this particular input, like try to execute. Yes, it is saying yes, operations I will add is subtraction, multiplication, division along with the addition. So this is how this particular code will look like. See, the same input which I have given in the code file is only taken. That means whatever the code file you have given, it is improvising that according to your prompts provided. It is not creating a own program. If it is creating a own program, the inputs would be different, right? So this is how it is improvising. So I want to download the modified code file. So let me tell I want to download this particular code file. Sure, you can do that. It is trying to wrap up into Python code file might be. So let's check out what it is trying to do. So it is trying to convert this particular added features of this particular code file. Addition was the only thing which I uploaded, but subtraction, multiplication, division is added. That is the extra features added according to our instruction. So it is giving us the downloadable link for this particular code file. It says download modified interpretation example code. It is giving us the name also, it is modified, right? So if you click on the download link, it will download. If you could see, the download has been done here, right? So this is the major difference which I was talking about. How do you use code interpreter in 3.5 of ChatGPT and 4 model of ChatGPT. So these features are available. It is having a sandbox of Python. It will try to execute in that particular environment, add features, give you output. So many operations will happen. So this is the overall picture and comparison between the GPT 3.5 and 4 with the interpretation option, which is still in the beta version, right? So let's end this particular topic here. Let's check out the next one. How can we improvise our code? What do we do with ChatGPT? Now, the next topic of ChatGPT of coders, let's see debugging. How do we do debugging? Giving a wrong input to the ChatGPT, and let's see whether the particular mistake or the error has been detected or not. So let's proceed and check out our task to execute in the ChatGPT interface. So task number 1, I am trying to copy or type or paste this particular code which is present here. If you Want to know what is the error? I can say it is an index error actually. Let's see whether the GPT will recognize the index error and debug the program and provide corrected output is the first prompt we will ask the ChatGPT to do. And the second one, is there any other method which we can be used in order to solve the same problem statement? So this also we will try to ask the ChatGPT interface in the debugging aspect, right? After the particular first example is completed, the same thing we can do with the second example, where let's check out what is the error which has been put up here, right? After the object, I have not put anything. I've just mentioned equals and I've just kept it blank. So we paste the same code in the GPT and let's check out how does this work. Proceeding with the first task now. Here we are in the GPT interface. If you want, you can start off with a new chat or you can continue here itself. So I prefer having a new chat. So I am pasting a error code here in GPT 3.5, right? So you can execute in 4 also, but I prefer 3.5 for the execution. So I'll execute this program, find the error. So let's see how it will execute. The code you have provided mostly correct, but there is a potential issue when printing the value using a F string. The curly braces in the F string need to be formatted with the index value. So one of the curly braces was missing here, right? So that is why it is giving a corrected version program here. It is not telling us, so you are not wrong. It is boosting our confidence that you are mostly correct. Actually, there is a mistake here. It's like how we correct somebody as a teacher or a person who wants to teach something to a person who has made a mistake, right? We will try to convince, okay, you have made your attempt, but your improvised code is so and so. It is trying to be human enough and it is giving the output to the inputs provided, right? So the corrected version is being added here. It is having indices, that is index to access. This was missing. It is giving the value here. See, index to access, it is giving this particular mylist section and almost it was correct. It was not missing anything, but it is just trying to add and make the corrections accordingly and mention this particular error also here, right? So let me check out with one more prompt. Let me improvise this particular code. So any other method we can solve the above program, right? So certainly here there's an alternative which has been provided. So in this version of code attempts to access the value of the specified index within the try block. If the index is out of range, it will raise an index error, right? Which is caught by the except block. So what it is trying to do? It is using try catch block where nothing was present when I gave this particular code file. So it is telling we can improvise. See, it improvised by adding if else. It also added one of the logic to the same object, to the same input which is created. See, if else is not there here. So it added if else. It gave this particular comparison also. If you could see index access length with respect to that, whether to check the index is within bounds or out of bounds, it made this particular logic also accessible and which was not present here. So these corrections were told to us and it is made. After doing all these things, again it is adding exception handling, right? This is how the particular error is detected, given the suggestion and improvise the particular code which we have provided, and it will give the improvised, modified, updated code for us back. Now let's check out the second example. The second example, let's paste that particular wrong code itself and see what is missing. Something is missing here. Let's ask, find the error. If you don't ask also, it will say, it seems like you want to create instance of a subclass and call the overridden method. So it is analyzing what I'm trying to do. I'm doing method overriding actually. And this is the particular code. This was missing actually. My subclass was removed in order to make a mistake and put that to ChatGPT and ask for the correction. Obviously, it detected and it has given the corrected code also, right? So, it is giving the explanation how it will work. So, any other method? I just gave any other method. It's normally how I want to speak. It is giving the prompt like that only, and it is giving the output for us back. So yes, there is a method you can approach for by using super function, right? So it is giving a modified code as well here. So this is how you debug your code if you're stuck somewhere, if you are trying to learn something, or if you want to solve something, you have done half of the work and you're not knowing how to proceed. You can upload the error code into the ChatGPT and try to ask ChatGPT what is the error, how do you correct it, what is the modified code, and any other method you can improvise so everything can be asked. So this is how debugging can be done for your programs using ChatGPT, right? Now, the next topic is exception handling using ChatGPT, right? So we will provide ChatGPT with the codes which is not having exception, and then we will ask ChatGPT to provide exceptions, and let's see how it will respond. Let's check out the tasks in order to execute in ChatGPT interface. So the task one is I'm trying to copy paste this particular code which I'm using here into the ChatGPT interface and find the type of the error and add an exception for the above code, and then to handle any decimal index value. I am using the same particular program which I was using, that is the index value error program, but already we have seen the ChatGPT has given exception to improvise the code when we asked in the previous execution. But now we will try to re-execute and check. The first thing is I'm trying to ask what is the error and I'm trying to add exception handling for that particular code. And then I'm having a customized exception handling. That is when a user will give like index value like decimals 0.1, 0.2, so on and so forth. What we do and how to handle that. So we'll ask these questions to ChatGPT. Let's see what is the response. Now let's see the next task, that is task number 2. We paste this particular code, that is 0 division error, and ask for the exception. It will find the error and provide the exception, and then we will ask any other logic in order to solve this program, right? These two tasks will perform with respect to exception handling using ChatGPT. Let's switch on to the interface now. I can use the new chat, so I'm pressing on the new chat here in the left, and I'm trying to paste a code which is having index value error issue and ask an exception to this particular code and get the modified code. So I'm just giving a normal code, and it says, it looks like you have provided a simple Python snippet that creates a list of A containing 5 elements and then prompts the user to put the input to the index, the code, and then access the value, and it will print the index for the same. If you have any questions about the code, you can ask me. So what it is telling is, what is the error that can happen in the code above? So I'm asking a question, what might be the error? Obviously, the code you have provided, these are the errors it can happen. Input type error and index error. It is giving explanation also. In order to solve this particular error, you can use try except block, right? Without us asking provide exception handling for this above code, I'm just asking what is the error it might come. If at all, if it wants to, how do you handle? It is giving the complete try except block in this particular modified code, right? So let's ask our customized exception handling question. What it was discussed, if user provides decimal index value as input, how to handle? So I'm just asking my own question in my normal language without any sentence framing, and it is trying to understand and give me the output, right? So what it is suggesting us to do, we will convert the floating point indices to the decimal value, and then we will execute the program. The first conversion is happening, then it is proceeding, right? So this is how it will convert, right? If you want to execute this particular program and check how it will work, and if you're having premier version of ChatGPT, then you can copy this, paste in the GPT-4 and try to use the interpreter feature in the ChatGPT-4, right? So for now, I'm stopping it here, that we have got the answers exactly how we wanted, and the GPT has understood our problem statement. It is suggested what all the problems can arise, the errors can arise, and how do you solve that with the help of exception handling program. And then again, if you give a customized exception to be handled, it is providing the program for that as well, right? So let's check out the second task, and let's paste the code which is having 0 index error and just work how it will take it. Coming up to the second task, we are having a program here which is having the 0 division error, right? So when you have this error, let's see what it will do. The code you have provided will instead cause 0 division error because you are trying to divide by 0. Denominator is 0, numerator is 10. So this is your program with error. If you run, you will get this output. If you get that output, how do you solve that? You can use this particular if-else statement. Else, I can say, please add exception for above code. It tried solving by using if-else, but I want exception. So let me ask, please add exception for above code. It will give you try and except block, right? So any other method to solve the above statement or problem. Let me give it as problem here. So when you do this, it is telling or giving, certainly there is another way to divide this particular 10 numerator with the denominator 0, even though if you get a 0 division error, how do you solve it? So this is what it is. It is giving you the overall picture. First, we tried handling, asking what is the error. We didn't ask anything. We just pasted the code. It gave us the what error, and it also gave the solution for us. We didn't want if else, we wanted exception. We asked for exception. It provided the exception, and any other method if we can solve this major problem statement. If you could see, it is repeating the same code what it suggested in if else, right? Here, if you could see here, as a solution, it is repeating the same as another way. It is going to and fro a lot, right? There is no much options. It will start going to and fro, right? So this is all about debugging your code programs by using ChatGPT. The next topic is testing using ChatGPT. So the code which you have created, you want to test your code. How do you do that? So we'll be doing that with the help of testing, and it can be taken up in ChatGPT interface. So prompt number 1, what we will execute? We try to do the unit test for the above code. Any code which we have already executed, we'll take that into consideration and we will try to execute. So the prompt number 2, suggest code improvement ideas for the above code and implement any of the idea and provide the code, right? So ideas will be given, and out of that, we will ask, you can implement so and so. It will give the output accordingly. So let's check out this particular testing, how we can carry out in ChatGPT interface. Here we are in the ChatGPT interface, and I'll try to add a code and ask the ChatGPT to provide the unit testing. So what it has done is, as soon as you add and you give nothing as an input except the code, you don't ask to perform any other operation, it will break the particular program and try to explain you line by line what is happening, right? So after this, we will try to ask, perform unit testing on the code above, right? When you ask this, sure, I can provide you on the code above. This is the unit testing which we can perform. You have the code right here, right away, right? It is giving the example and the explanation for the example right below the code, right? So this is how you do the unit testing. So any other testing options available? These are all generalized ChatGPT prompts which I'm trying to ask. My single doubts which I get while I execute, I'll try to ask the same to the interface. Yes, certainly there are other testing options also available except unit testing framework. You have many other options available apart from unit testing. The first one is PyTest, second one is DocTest. So all this modular testing is also going through here, right? So any other options available to solve the code above? I'm just asking the question. It is giving the answer here for us with a different type of solution and changed logic, right? So let me ask the same thing. What is the efficiency of the code above? So when you ask this question, it is giving us the efficiency of this operations being performed and size of the input list. It depends upon that. So this is the particular efficiency list it has been giving with space complexity, time complexity, and every aspect, right? So this is how you do testing with the help of ChatGPT, and you can also find the various programs option, and you can also find the errors if you want to. You can do unit testing. Apart from unit testing, you can implement doc test, PyTest. You have many other options if you go on exploring, right? So what I'm trying to say here is you can start from building your program to get to your desired output. Everything can be done with the help of ChatGPT. We saw one by one. We started building the program. We started debugging the program. We started having the exception handling inside the program, and we also got into the testing of the code, right? So it is catering to every stage of one single program or application development, which can be done with the help of ChatGPT. It can be a greater support for anyone who is learning programming or anyone who is expert and they want to explore more. Both the aspects, ChatGPT will help for the coders and the non-coders as well, right? So this is all about the testing your code over ChatGPT. Now, we are in the next topic, extra uses of ChatGPT. Apart from building a code from the scratch up to the testing mode, what all the ChatGPT can do apart from these things? We have several prompts examples here. First, we will try to access the code documentation for the code which is already existing and suggest any improvement ideas. We have been working for this and it is been suggesting. It is already done, but still we will do it again. Implement any other idea and provide the code, right? We are just asking an open-ended question, implement something and give me the modified code. And we have one more prompt here, create a dummy spreadsheet with 4 columns and fill it with 10 rows of dummy data. Format the resulting spreadsheet data as a table. We'll check both in GPT 3.5 and 4, right? We will do this 4th prompt in both of it, right? Let's shift to ChatGPT interface now. I'm trying to continue the same thing. Kindly provide code documentation. I'm trying to provide one more prompt for the existing code file here. Kindly provide code documentation. It is an extra prompt which I'm running. So when I give this, it will give you the complete code documentation here. It's going on. Certainly, code documentation is essential to make your code understandable to others. So this is how it is. The documentation is done inside the code in the comments, right? And it is given the summary at the right bottom, right? So this is how the code documentation will happen if you ask. If you don't ask, you will have the comments, but only limited comments. If you ask for code documentation, it will give you the complete picture, right? Next, any other code can we integrate to improvise the code above? It's a random ChatGPT prompt which I'm trying to explore, right? How far we can reach, right? Certainly, there are various improvements and enhancements you can do for the code which is mentioned above. Input validation can be done. One thing, dynamic list you can give, and error handling in the main you can put, custom exceptions you can make. So these are the 4 options which it has provided, right? So, any other method available? I'm just asking the questions. If any other method we can go for. It is going with a simple condition alternative method, right? So this is about how do you do extra work with the ChatGPT. Even the documentation is sorted with the help of ChatGPT for the code or the application of the project which you work on, right? So now we'll execute the 4th prompt. I prefer taking a new chat for this. Now let's execute the 4th prompt which I was discussing. Now we'll execute that first in 3.5 GPT. So I'm asking a dummy spreadsheet with 4 columns which is having name, age, income and city and 10 rows of dummy data to be put up in a spreadsheet table. So let's see. It is telling I am a text-based artificial intelligence. So I cannot directly create visual elements like spreadsheets. However, I can give you the table which is displayed over here. What you can do with that also it is telling. You can use Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets in order to get it into a particular format, right? So the format in the table can be put up in Excel or Sheets. If you want to choose Excel, what you have to do, select the data, go to insert button in the ribbon and click on the table, and you can just make sure you create a table dialog box and you have table headers and click OK, right? So it is giving you an option. I am not able to do this, whatever you asked for, downloadable Excel format or anything. But I am a text-based person and I can just give you the details here, but you can proceed making a separate Excel or Google Sheet file. This is how it is giving the output for given input by the user. Now, I'll go into a new chat and select ChatGPT 4. Now, we are in the ChatGPT 4 and pasting the same prompt which we executed in 3.5 and let's see what it will tell us. It is working in the code interpreter format which I have chosen to do. Let's see what it will give the output. Again, we'll switch off the code interpreter and check once more how it will work, right? Overall, we are experimenting in this particular program or in this particular video, what all it can do. So here is the dummy data table. It is providing us after execution. So let's see, let it complete all the 10 rows and what it will suggest us to do. Whether it is downloadable or non-downloadable, how can it be done? See, that is the major difference between GPT 3.5 and 4. It is giving the downloadable CSV file with dummy data access, right? So what did we ask for? We asked for a spreadsheet, right? So I'm asking a question. It's my own doubt. Can we get Excel file downloaded for the above data? So it's a non-grammatical, how we think, how we write, it's very different. So I've just given the prompt like that. Let's see. You can download the dummy data in Excel format by clicking yes. It is giving you an Excel format also. It is giving you a CSV format also, right? So this is one of the plus point of using ChatGPT 4, you can have a downloadable data. So one last thing we want to experiment here, which we discussed, is by switching off code interpreter and just taking a default ChatGPT 4. So when you click this, what happens? Let's see. So it will try to execute. Yes, this is the table. It gives you in the format of plain text. So can you download? Let's wait and watch. It is just giving you copy code. You can have a copy option already readily available here. So let's see. After the 10th entry, can we download the above data? So I'm just giving a prompt. I'm sorry, but I'm unable to facilitate direct file downloads. You can copy the text. You can paste it in your notepad or document or wherever the situated places, right? So this is how it will make some difference when you have the same prompt executed in GPT 3.5, GPT-4 without code interpreter, GPT-4 with code interpreter option, right? So this is all about the extra uses of ChatGPT. Now we are in the last topic of this particular session, coding limitations of ChatGPT. I'm talking about the limitation with respect to ChatGPT 3.5 only. Okay. So the first thing is lack of context beyond 2048 tokens. 2048 tokens. After that, you don't have any context how it will work. 3.5. So generating incorrect responses at some instances. That happened, right? When we tried executing different methods, it gave us the same method repeatedly again as an alternative. So it goes on incorrect responses, or it will goes on a loop if it doesn't find any other options. So sensitive content and bias. So verbosity and repetition. It is having lots of repetition. Again, the same logic has been repeated ever and ever again. Lack of clarification for ambiguous queries. So it will say, I'm not the right person to answer to your query, and you can do so and so options, right? It will promptly accept that it is not happening from it, and it is giving an option how do we explore and go ahead about it. So non-contextual responses also sometimes it will provide. Domain expertise and specific knowledge is lacking a little bit, not completely available because it is trained up to one level. It's not beyond the level. So generating creative or fictional content. So it is having a generation capability, but only to the limited extent, not more towards more innovation, more creativity. It's not available. It is having certain limitations as well. Not a replacement for professional advice, right? Every aspect it might not think. It might fail to think in every aspect. Human perspective, any other consequences perspective, any other situation-oriented decisions to be made. So all this cannot happen with the help of ChatGPT, right? Business solutions, business management, product management, operations management, so inventory management, all these things we have to decide how the business is going, what it is happening. Human mind thinking is very different than ChatGPT thinking. It is not completely matching, but it is trying to match the thinking capacity as well. But always it is not the replacement for professional advice. So unpredictable output, sometimes it happens. It gives us unpredictable output. It is confusing. We can still ask question and clarify, but still, as soon as it gives you unpredictable outputs, it's very difficult to trace back if it is a bigger program. I'm talking about bigger program aspect. If it is a smaller one, modular one, it's completely fine. We can access it, right? So these are the code limitations of ChatGPT 3.5 in particular. Now, here we are at the last section of this session, that is summary. Let's have a quick recap of what all did we study in this session. The first thing we studied, what is the ChatGPT role and who is responsible to ChatGPT to be developed, that is artificial intelligence. The major domain and the subdomain has been discussed. Introductory discussion happened. After that, we started comparing the competitors, that is ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot as well. What are the major differences with respect to the premium access, response to the prompts, trained data set, etc. programmers and non-programmers who can use the ChatGPT, if at all if they want to use, what are the pros and cons of using it, right? We listed everything, and then many other prompts were demonstrated with respect to building the code, debugging the code, handling the exceptions, testing, code documentation. All the demonstrations were done. Apart from these, we had extra uses also. We tried creating a table, a dummy data having certain entries inside it, and we also saw the differences how the same prompt will be executed in GPT 3.5 and GPT 4, which is having access to download the file in GPT 4, which is not present in 3.5, right? So at last we saw few of the limitations with respect to the architecture, training data, verbosity repetition, sensitive content bias, etc. in ChatGPT 3.5. By this, we end this session. Happy learning. Thank you.